Ever since I made that very first heart puzzle, I have been kind of obsessed with puzzles. And knowing that that puzzle mold would not last forever, I was determined to figure out how to make my own. And this is the first part of that. Using the Procreate app and a tutorial from YouTube, I figured out how to make my own brush. And with that design, I could make a puzzle in any shape I wanted. And with this design, I reached out to Sparkle and Ice, who was able to cut out my puzzle in acrylic, and I can use that to make a mold. The first few times I made molds, I used hot glue underneath the blank to stick it inside of the mold box. And while that was great for sticking it down, it created a little bit of a gap where the mold maker seeped underneath. To try and prevent that, this time I am using a transfer tape like you would use for the Cricut, but instead of a roll, I got it in a 12 by 12 sheet. I first made sure that my puzzle would fit onto this sheet with a little bit of a gap between each piece. It just barely fit, but it's going to work for this time. After that, I went ahead and stuck all of my pieces down, making sure to give each one a good press to make sure it was fully stuck. Next, I'll be peeling off the numbered masking tape as well as making the mold box. It's time to make the mold box for my puzzle mold. Funny story, I was originally going to use Legos to build up the mold box, and I even bought one of those big yellow boxes of Legos, but turns out there's not really as many in there as you need. At least not for this size, but I will try that for a smaller mold. So, some dollar store foam board to the rescue. It was actually a small tri-fold board that I just cut the sides off of. And from that, I cut 1-inch strips that you can see me gluing down here. While gluing these down, I was trying to keep a 1/4-inch perimeter around the entire puzzle. That way, when I make the mold, it will be thick enough. If it's too thin, it might rip or tear. I went around all of these seams with a little bit of extra hot glue so there wouldn't be any leaks later on. I was really hoping this would be one of those satisfying tape peel videos, but what it really was 10 minutes of a struggle and a broken nail. So here's a few of the good ones I got. On to the fun part of actually making the mold. I'm using Illuminlight's amazing mold maker, 1 because it's the only mold maker I've ever used before, and 2 because it is super easy. Just like resin, you are mixing parts A and B and mixing slowly. And I really did try to mix slow here so I didn't incorporate any large bubbles. And I've heard if you pour the mold maker from higher, it reduces some of the bubbles. I'm not sure if that's really true, but I did it anyway. Here I had mixed the entire 16-ounce kit of mold maker, and unfortunately that was not enough. And what I cut out of the video was me panicking and quickly mixing up a second kit. But lucky for me, silicone sticks to silicone, so the second kit mixed in just fine with this first one. I have seen the trick where you fill your mold box with rice and then pour that rice into a cup so you know exactly how much mold maker you're going to need, but since my mold was so large, I felt like I would just make more of a mess trying to do that. I am finally done making my puzzle mold, and I thought the best way to show you guys is to use it. You can see that the mold maker picked up all of the textures from the transfer tape, but the puzzle pieces are smooth and shiny. This time for the resin, I mixed my colors and poured them all in the same cup. I used Ninja Black, Wasabi Green, and got some extra sparkle with some Alaskan Sky. Almost all of the green and the glitter came out in that first corner and fades out to the black and glitter. And here it is, my very first start to finish puzzle.